Welcome back, guys. Today we want to take a look at the new event, and I will show you the top 3 decks that you can use for this event to be most successfully. Obviously, the event, we have to pick one side, whether we want to play fusion decks only with fusion monsters, synchro decks only with synchro monsters, and XYZs only with XYZs, only playing against these type of decks there in the event. Obviously, there is like a big group of decks that you can potentially play. I think this is quite a nice event because everyone will have some deck that is either a synchro, fusion, or XYZ, but what I want to show you today. And by the way, if you just pick fusion, for example, that's not a big problem because you can always just change what you are playing with. I'm not quite sure where it is, but this was how it was in the last events. So that's not a big deal. So you can pick and then change if you want something different. You can see here, there's the change group thing, and obviously also have some loner decks available to you, as always, basically, which might not be the worst. We can see there is a branded Chimera deck here that is actually not that bad, even though there are cards in there like Gazelle, the King of Mythical Beasts. But I want to show you the 3, in my opinion, best decks for the events together, combining XYZ, Synchro, and the Fusion event. So let's just hop over and I'll show you the deck lists. My personal number 3 for this event would be the Chimera deck for the event. It's also the loner deck, as we have just seen, but we are obviously not playing any normal summon monsters here. But we are playing this Chimera version also with whatever we can use from the branded fusion package. We can use, for example, one Albion, Lubelin, and then the Mirror Jades here. So obviously we are going for branded fusion, have the branded opening in here, and then the new Chimera fusion together with super polymerization, which is quite nice because you will probably play against a lot of other fusion decks when you play the fusion event, of course, and a lot of fusion decks tend to rely quite heavily on the dark and the light type, so you will have some targets ready for you there. The new cards that have just arrived with the new selection pack here, the Chimera cards that you can use in this event. Concerning the hand traps here, you can definitely go ahead and trade these hand traps out for other ones. These are just example hand traps. You could also go play Ghost Bell and Moonlit Chill, which we, not Ghost Bell, sorry, Ghost Mourner and Moonlit Chill, which we will see in another deck I will show you in a second. So the non-engine spot here is flexible. You just go ahead and put in there what you want to put in there, what you have basically. This is, in my opinion, one of the best decks for the fusion event. You could also play something like a branded Tearlament variant, but the Tearlament engine being not that, I would say, consistent is the big problem for me here. So this one, even though it's not the strongest deck in my opinion in general, it's quite nice because consistency wise it is quite consistent. You will probably be in your place most of the time. You also have a small world to come into your place if you are missing some of your core cards of your basic starters. So I think Chimera, or branded Chimera, if you want to call it branded Chimera, with a few branded cards in here, branded Chimera, definitely one of the best decks, the third best deck to pick for this event in my opinion, if you run the fusion side of the event. My number 2 is Kashira, or any version of this deck. You can once again see that I have opted for some hand traps that you could change out to other hand traps we have seen in Nibiru in the list prior. You can see Ghost Mourner, Moonlit Chills here. You could also up the Effect Veilers or the Duel and Lockbirds, whatever you want to do here. Obviously, Kashira XYZ, really nice. Kashira is not really reliant on its XYZ package, but there are also a lot of strong XYZs that can be accessed. The Kashira Risard is still able to be accessed with Kashira, which is already strong. This boss monster alone, through its permanent banishing effect, can basically win you games on its own. We only have one Fenrir, we only have one Unicorn, but that's okay. We have access to pots, we have access to Rotar, which gives us access to our Risard, which then, if you open a Kashira Birth, you can use that. We have the field spell to search, we have Kashira Theosis, and once again the small world, which actually is quite nice in this event, being able for a lot of decks to search some nice stuff here, to search the basic starters. We can also go for more Planet Pathfinders that, if you don't know already, you can just normal summon the guy, the Pathfinder, and then tribute it away. and then the Pathfinder will grab you your Pressured Planet Raids off. So if you want to view it like that, we have 3 additional Pressured Planet Wraiths off that we have access to, and then obviously because you have tributed the Planet Pathfinder from your field, you are then able to special summon either the Kashira Fenrir, the Kashira Unicorn, or the Kashira Ogre. We are bumping up the Ogres here because this obviously is a body, a level 7 body that we can go into extra deck level 7 monsters with, but he also gives us access to our preparations, for example, or the Big Bang preparations, giving us the ability to revive our Kashira monsters together with the Birth, obviously, and we can also run, as you can see up the top here, a lot of hand traps. We can run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 hand traps basically that you can interchange as you want, as you see fit throughout the event. So that is quite nice. So go ahead, play Kashira. Most of you already or still have the Kashira core, and you wouldn't even need a lot of Kashira cards. So the valuable ones, if for example you have Kashira Theosis, that's already fine. You only need 1 Unicorn, you only need 1 Fenrir. So that's quite alright. And if you don't have these, I would say, more expensive hand traps, you can go for the other ones, for example, Duel and Lockbird. So in my opinion, Kashira will be a very strong deck for the event and definitely one of the strongest in the category XYZ. Okay, and for my personal number 1, it is Pearly, the deck that has just recently got a new support with the Pearly Noir, giving you access to get into your boss monster, the Pearly Noir, via your Pearly Sleepy Memory, which was a card that before was not accessible, or we couldn't really use it to climb up in any other of the little cats, which then gave us access to the big cat here. This is super nice. The deck is still very consistent, even without having the Pearly at 3. So right now we basically have gotten 3 additional copies of Pearly Quick Play spells, because now we can effectively use them. That's really strong. The deck is really strong on the ladder at the moment also, and you have also a lot of space for non-engine. So for example, you could go and play Dark World stuff in here. So the Brow, if you're not aware of what this is doing, for all your Quick Play spells you will have to discard a card, and if you discard the Brow, then the cool thing is that you can then draw another card. So it's your discard fodder that will basically draw you another card, so it replaces itself, which is very, very strong. You have a lot of these cards, and then you can use the Brow. We're also running a little Shadow package here, which are also very nice discards, this being able to draw you a card, the Squilmata being able to send 1 Shadow card from your deck to the graveyard, which you can then, for example, send the Beast, and the Hedgehog is able to add a Shadow monster from your deck to your hand. So let's, for example, say you dump this to the graveyard, adding your Hedgehog to the graveyard, and then you can add the Beast to the hand, which then you can use for further discard fodder. So the Shadow engine together with the Dark World engine, they are there for discard. And then we have also the hand traps here. As you can see, we also have space for, in this case, should be like 12 non-engine spots, but you can obviously up the non-engine hand trap spots here by removing your Dark World engine and putting in some more hand traps. The Dark World engine gives you more powerful plays. You will be more easily be able to go into big boss monsters with more materials under it, and you will also be able to more consistently end up on your boss monster. The advantage of having more hand traps obviously is that you will be more able to stop your opponent. So you could, for example, put some of these out and put in Nibiru's. Especially you will play against a lot of Kashira opponents here in the XYZ meta, and depending on what the Kashira opponent wants to do, most people, I would presume, in these events will play into Nibiru, doing a lot of XYZ summons if they can. So Nibiru can go very hard against the Kashira decks, but as I already said, go and test out the event, which will be live in 2 days on the 18th of April, and then you can go ahead and check what decks you are facing a lot, and then you can adjust whatever hand traps you want to play against these specific decks. These are my top decks, top 3 decks for the coming event. I, as I already said, really like the event. I think it's quite nice. Let me know in the comments what you think of this event, what you are going to play, whether you like the event or you dislike it. Normally, I'm not one for events. I do really dislike them because most of the time I will end up playing like a bad deck just to complete the event and get the resources here, which is not really fun for me. The loner decks normally are quite weak. We have seen there is a branded fusion deck here, for example, as a loner deck. There's also a Dark World deck here that also does not look that bad, though Dark World definitely not the strongest. We can quickly check out what the XYZ and the Synchro group have to offer in terms of the loner decks here. They have Battling Boxer, which this is not it, I guess. A Destina one, okay, yeah. And then, okay, there's a Dinosaur one. I guess the Dinosaur one, even though there are some strange or kind of strange cards in here, I guess the Dinosaur one is definitely the strongest here from the XYZs. But with XYZ being a very strong category, I'm not quite sure whether these loner decks are cutting it there, so you might want to go for your own decks. And then we have here, this makes sense, a Crimson King / Red Dragon Archfiend deck together with Bridge of the Black Forest, which this is an okay deck, I would say. Then we have whatever this is, the Fabled, never heard of this deck, I don't know if it's strong, and then Earth Arctic. So once again, the donor deck's not being that strong, but I think the Synchro category, in my opinion, will be the weakest in general, XYZ being the strongest, and then the Fusion being in the middle. So let me know what you think. Let me know what you think of the loner decks of the event in the comments below, guys. I am very interested in reading them. And then if you like my content, please consider subscribing, hitting the thumbs up and the notification bell, and we will see each other in the next one.